Drama in Hollywood is nothing new, but when an A-list actress is accused of taking over a whole movie production, firing important crew members, and altering the script without consent, the industry takes notice. That's precisely what's going on behind the scenes in It Ends With Us, where sources say Blake Lively had complete control over director Justin Baldoni, firing editors, and even ignoring the composer. How did it all go so wrong, and why are former crew members now talking about their experiences with Lively? The situation has escalated to lawsuits, leaked text messages, and insider testimonies that depict a toxic work environment. When Blake Lively joined the production, it became a Hollywood battleground. Let's dissect the mayhem, power struggles, and tension that existed behind the scenes. Finishes with us. Nobody could have foreseen the impending storm that would affect the production. At first, Justin Baldoni was in charge of the movie as both its director and a major creative force. But that soon changed when Blake began to make her presence known. According to sources, Blake took charge of important choices despite lacking a director's experience, effectively displacing Justin from the spotlight. As her authority increased, so did the tension on set. So significant with crew members experiencing a change and a widening gap between the two stars. A wave of dismissals of crew members, many of whom had been faithful to Justin from the beginning, ensued. It was hard to ignore the new dynamics on set, and insiders say Blake's takeover made it obvious she was in charge. Many questioned how much of the film's artistic vision would stay in Justin's hands, and the conflict extended beyond the stars and affected the entire production. Blake Lively was taking over the entire production in Ends With Us, not just playing the part. When the studio agreed to let both Blake and Justin edit their respective cuts, the stakes increased even further. Those who had the better test audience results would have their version released to the public. But Blake wasn't about to let that happen without a fight. After the filming was finished, Blake made a bold and controversial move by demanding to have her hands on the film's edit, even though that's traditionally the director's responsibility. As tensions rose, it became clear that Justin Baldoni's vision for the film was no longer the priority. Leaked text messages between Justin and his editing team showed how difficult things got for those caught in the middle. The editors were already having trouble keeping up with Blake's increasing demands, with one of them admitting that all they wanted was to keep her happy so they could continue. However, when Blake started to micromanage the editing process, tensions reached a breaking point, and the editors expressed their worries about how Blake was pushing them and undermining their work. The editors found themselves marginalized as Blake's control over the project grew more stringent, going beyond reasonable hours and making decisions that caused significant frustration despite following the book exactly. Blake shocked everyone by firing Justin's entire editing crew and replacing them with editors from her husband Ryan Reynolds' projects during post-production. The entire post-production process turned into a battlefield because of how drastically things changed. Blake's new team was thrust into the spotlight, and the crew who had put in countless hours on the movie were abruptly thrown aside. The editors are seen in the communications expressing shock and annoyance at how their hard work could be so quickly disregarded. As production went on, Justin's team suffered collateral damage in what was clearly a power grab rather than merely a creative disagreement. Crew members who had been collaborating with Justin Baldoni prior to Blake Lively's arrival started to feel the strain as rumors of her domineering behavior started to circulate. According to insiders, Blake's presence on set was extremely domineering and did not foster creativity. Rather, it felt as though everyone had to tread carefully to appease her. In a move that some on set found especially tone-deaf, the atmosphere changed from one of collaboration to one of fear, with the star feeling more like cogs in a machine than creative professionals. However, it wasn't just her professional choices that made waves. While it may have seemed like a small gesture, Blake set up a charity booth on the set to raise money for sick kids and troops. According to Noble insiders, many crew members who were having financial difficulties as a result of the ongoing strikes felt compelled to donate, uncomfortable, and under pressure to do so. Since Blake was one of the most important people on set, the crew was afraid of the consequences if they didn't contribute, even though they had little to no money after months without paychecks. The pressure didn't end there. According to several sources, crew members were actually terrified of Blake, and they all wanted to discuss it. There was a noticeable sense of intimidation. Even minor choices turned into battlefields, with Blake seemingly in charge and Justin left to resist her demands helplessly. It was about surviving a production, led by a star who wasn't afraid to show who had the power, not about creating a great movie. Blake Lively's authority over it extended beyond the director's chair, to include the wardrobe. According to sources, even though Eric Damon's team had already created costumes based on the character's script description, Blake ignored the film's seasoned costume designer, who had years of experience on sets like Gossip Girl. Blake completely disregarded their work. Instead, she completely changed the appearance of her character by sending dozens of late-night texts with pictures of what she wanted. The budget was pushed to its breaking point when the wardrobe department was compelled to go on yet another shopping binge. But the problems didn't end there. In what appeared to be another power move, Blake insisted that all of her fittings be done at home, which further delayed the process and added needless stress to the production crew. Blake focused entirely on the music department, ignoring the award-winning composer Justin Baldoni, even though many people had praised the composer's final score. Blake quickly replaced them with the same composer who worked on her husband Ryan Reynolds because she wasn't happy. Many people in the production were shocked by the decision made in Deadpool and Wolverine's movie. According to sources, Blake's AC left little opportunity for creative input from others, and the choice to hire a member of her personal circle caused controversy in the industry. The crew perceived this as yet another instance of Blake expressing her preferences and influence, even at the expense of the original film's vision. Blake's wardrobe change and composer change had a knock-on effect on the film's creative direction. According to one insider, these choices were more about Blake consolidating power than they were about the integrity of the artist. The costume designer's work was ignored, the music changed, and it became evident that Blake's personal preferences were influencing the project's aesthetic for Justin Baldoni. Crew members felt his frustration with each new change, as it appeared the film was moving further away from his original vision, leaving many wondering how much control an actor should have over a production that wasn't even his to direct. Not only did Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni argue on set, but she also filed a lawsuit against him for harassment. According to the accusations, Justin had repeatedly made unwanted advances during a kissing scene and engaged in inappropriate on-set behavior. Although the lawsuit depicted a dangerous workplace, Justin's counterclaim offered an alternative account. Something much more concerning was disclosed by Justin. Justin was proactive, even making the effort to meet with the intimacy coordinator, a vital position on set tasked with ensuring the actor's safety and comfort during intimate scenes, whereas Blake had disregarded the coordinator's advice. Blake's refusal, dismissing the necessity of expert supervision, paved the way for the ensuing controversy. But it wasn't the only instance in which Blake's actions sparked concern. Blake made the decision to take matters into her own hands when it came to the movie script, revising portions of the narrative without first speaking with screenwriter Christy Hall. Considering the writer's strike at the time, it was a startling move. The truth is that Ryan Reynolds, while the writers were on strike, Blake's husband allegedly made changes to the script on his own. At the film's premiere, Blake's admission that he had rewritten the script wasn't merely a casual remark. Rather, it was a daring declaration that shocked the CW crew. Her arbitrary choices persisted in undermining the artistic endeavors of all those engaged, including directors and writers. Blake Lively's power plays had an impact outside of the set as well. Insiders in Hollywood have been outspoken about the tense environment there. Many people were taken aback by Lively's degree of control in Ends With Us. Influence is a hallmark of A-list actors, but this was unique. According to people familiar with the project, Blake's management of the production is currently being questioned by many in the industry. From casting choices to post-production, she has alienated important collaborators, such as Justin Baldoni, whose vision for the movie was overshadowed. Many people are wondering whether Blake's actions were an extreme case or if this type of behavior is more common than we realize as a result of the editors and crew's leaked texts, which have spurred a discussion about on-set dynamics. Despite the creative conflicts, the production W continued after the editors and crew were fired. We finally make it to the big screen at the end, but not without controversy. The original director of the movie, Justin Baldoni, was apparently fired during post-production, leaving Blake to decide on the final cut after the editors were swapped out and her vision took over. The cutting room floor was where Justin's copy of the movie was left. The revelation that Justin was not even invited to the premiere, but was instead required to watch the movie in a basement with friends and family, was the real kicker, underscoring the power shift that had occurred behind the scenes. For many people involved, the film's release has left a bad taste, and the crew's ire has permeated public conversations. Although Blake's cut has been released, many people believe it is not the film they intended to make, casting doubt on the finished product. What does Blake Lively stand to gain from all of this? Although It Ends With Us may have been a box office success in the short term, the drama that unfolded behind the scenes may have a lasting impact on her career. This controversy has given a completely different image to a celebrity who was formerly regarded as charming and likable. Word of mouth spreads quickly in the close-knit Hollywood community, as evidenced by the numerous lawsuits claiming unprofessional behavior and the consequences of her project management. Blake's reputation might be at risk. Although she may have the support of her influential husband, Ryan Reynolds, it's unclear to what extent this will shield her from criticism from the industry. Blake's name seems to be associated with controversy at the moment, and her upcoming endeavors might come under more scrutiny than in the past. Will her career be permanently impacted by her actions on It Ends With Us, or will she be able to recover?